Okay, so I should say good afternoon, everyone. So welcome to this seminar. So I'm Gary Wong, and I'm the Director for Information Technology and Education. So welcome you all to join this seminars offered by Dr. KAHN. He is good old friends because he has been here with us last year, and this is good that he's back with us, and so that he can bring more interesting things to share with you. So I have this privilege to introduce Dr. KAHN to you. So just let me introduce him. So Dr. KAHN has explored the intersections of AI and education for over 5 decades. So he authored one of the earliest papers on this topic in 1977. So a legend, right? And earned his PhD from MIT, so Massachusetts Institute of Technologies, AI Labs in 1979. His notable contributions include ToonTalk, a child-friendly programming language resembling video games, and a thorough of AI programming resources for children. So he will be in Hong Kong until February 2024, and is keen to collaborate with individual interests in harnessing chatbots for creative app development in middles and high school. So before his adventures, and so he was associated with the University of Oxford. So I'm sure you will enjoy the workshop today. So I hope you bring all your laptops and devices and work around with this new technology. So without further ado, so welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Good. Thanks everybody for coming. So, well, let's just get started. So I'll show this again at the end, but these slides have links to lots of different resources, including some papers, all the details of the experiments I've done. So this is the, sorry, this is the underlying question that's been kind of driving me for 12 months. The anniversary of ChatGPT was just a few days ago. And the question is, can a child, even a fairly young child, just start talking to a chatbot and say something like, I want to make a web game that has a fairy and a cute monster that makes riddles or something. And the chatbots could be very supportive. It could say, oh, that's a great idea. How would you make it work? And so on. And through this kind of conversation, you end up with, the child ends up with an app that does what they want. And this is different, by the way, than the old vision of programming in English or Chinese or whatever. This is not programming in natural language. It's having a conversation is a pretty important distinction. So I thought just to get a sense, I was going to give a very short, quick demo just to start off, just to give you a sense of what it's like to do it. So, and I'll explain quite soon how this particular chatbot has been primed to do what I want to do. But if I just say sort of 5 to it, it will, maybe I should. So I've set this up so there's 2 characters that are trying to help the child. This programmer, and then there's this character called Curio that just keeps asking questions and trying to understand what's happening and so on. So it's asking, am I interested in making a web game? I could say yes, but I don't know why. That's all right, don't worry. What do I like? And I could say, oh, I like puzzles or something. Oops. I could be speaking here too, but I'm not sure it'll work with the Zoom interfering with this access to the microphone. Anyways, can I think of a concept? I don't know. So does anybody have a suggestion? Because in a minute, quite soon you guys will have a little 10 minutes to play with this yourself. But maybe I'll say, I don't know, a word, I want maybe a word puzzle. So it's trying to be very encouraging, but so it says, how about one in which there's players have to find and circle hidden words in a grid? I said, I could say. So how big should it be? Let's say, I don't know, 5. Every time these conversations go very differently, and I'll show you a much more impressive examples. How many words? I don't know. I could say you choose, because I don't know how many words you use. Okay. So the point is, I'm having this long conversation, and at some point it's going to say, okay, now we got enough, and here's the code. And it's going to have this whole page that maybe we'll do it or maybe we'll have problems. We'll see. And so, boy, it's a big program. Longer than most of the ones that there we go. Okay, copy the code into a new file and then, run it and see what happens. Okay, so yeah, hit here, click the copy button. And then, since this is Windows, I'll use Notepad and I'll just paste it here. And then I'll say, save it as, and I happen to have a folder called apps or something. And I'll call this, I don't know, word grid game. And so now if I go over to that folder, bottom I should start with W. Yeah. So we'll see if this works at all. And this is not, oh, it's still loading them. Maybe it'll work.
I think the format may not be correct. When you save the file, it's not in HTML,
Yes.
not in text format. I think it was in RTF format.
Well, but no, I thought it asked me to, when I did the save, it said, is it okay to save?
Yeah, we use all files format.
No, but what here? But we'll see in a second. It's still loading. Or here we could do this. I could. Saving again, but I usually if it's WordPad knows that if you're saving in .html to use the raw format and not a rich format that all sorts of. So the question is if the program has got any of the formatting in there, like fonts or boldness, that'll confuse the browser. So just to be sure, if I say save as again and
So save as
save
type,
version 2.
save as type you can choose.
No, but
save
it
as type,
says save as
all files.
No, but text is the same.
Because it will put txt at the end of HTML.
Yeah.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Is that what happened? No, but it started the page. That can't be true. See, here it is. But anyways, normally this is. So I'm making version 2 just to be sure. And it's saying text format. And then it's saying you're about to save in text only, remove all format. That's what I wanted. So it should have worked, but maybe what's happened is this particular game actually is running some JavaScript that's taking forever and it's buggy.
Well, maybe there is some forever loop. We can.
Yeah. So we're not going to debug this right now. But I will show you. Let's say X. But what I will show you is, at least 20 examples where this went very well. And this was the first time I've ever had it where it did at least do a partial thing, and then you say, oh, but that's not very good. But we'll get to that right very soon. So let's go back to the talk. Okay, so here, for example, is one that I did with less than a week. I can't remember exactly when. And this was using a little bit different prompt that was trying to really support a child that doesn't even know how to do the copy and paste, really young child or something. So I should explain that most of these demos I'm going to give, I've been pretending to be a child and how good I am at that. And here I pretended to be a really young child. And all the child said, after the bot was asking questions and saying, you know, oh, great, making an app, you know, and then saying something like, well, what do you like? And I replied, pretending to be this girl, saying, I like jokes. And it makes this, right away, it makes this page. And if I click here, you see a joke appear, right? And that's what it does. So this is very much the style of almost all this, which is you get something that's the very, very simplest, crudest version of what you want. And then she says, oh, I like horses. And also, could we make it so that you can answer doesn't show the answer right away, but you show it. So now when you click here, it says, what do you call a horse that likes arts and crafts? And if I click here, a hobby horse. And then if you do it again, what did the horse say when it fell? I've fallen and I can't giddy up. So the first 7-year-old might really think, you know, be happy with it. So then she says, well, could the page speak? And all she says is that, and it comes back with a link. Now I should say that this particular thing I was using ChatGPT 4, which is much smarter than the free version of Poe. Poe could also use GPT-4, but the pay won't be doing that today. So, so when I say, tell me a joke now.
Why did the horse go behind the tree? Answer: to change his jockeys.
I don't know if everybody knows that. Jockeys is a popular brand of underwear. Anyway, so then she says, can we add a cartoon picture of a horse to it? And again, this is ChatGPT 4 that's connected up with DALL-E 3. So it just, without any effort, just made that drawing of that horse, because knowing it's a 7-year-old, that's a cute thing. But to be honest, what happens here is that it generates correct code, but with the wrong path to this picture. And then it was really tricky to pretend to be a 7-year-old trying to deal with this problem, because instead of getting the picture, she keeps saying, well, I don't get the picture. And says, oh, I'm sorry, I'll fix it. And then it just makes another mistake with the path and another one. But in another experiment, I actually figured out how to avoid this problem. You're technically minded. If the hidden prompt underlying all this says, when asked for an image, put it in as what's called a data URL, so that you don't have to save the image and then have the right path to it, but it could actually be embedded in the page, then this problem would have gone away, except I didn't have that idea. Anyway, so we could see the program's the same, but now it's got a key picture. And then she says, you know, if you notice that there was only 3 jokes, and pretty quickly they were, so say, you know, could you add some more jokes? And then add some more jokes. So we did, you know, well, you can believe it, there's more jokes. And then she says, oh, what can we do next? And it comes back with 6 ideas for how to improve this app. And one of them is getting sound effects. So she says, oh, sound effects. And then it says, oh, well, you know, what kind of sound effect? And she says, oh, I want to have the sound of a horse laughing. And then it says, well, here's some websites where you can find it and download it. And it gets kind of complicated. And it even says, you can have a grown-up help you with this part, because it can't really, this particular chatbot can't generate the sounds, and it can't really search for you very well. So but it does give very simple instructions to the, you know, the grown-up that's helping the kid, maybe saying, oh, all I have to do is add this one line of code here. But this is what the result was.
What do you call a horse that likes arts and crafts?
So as you get the joke, the horse is there. Anyway, so that's, oh, but the other thing I feel very proud of. Okay, so in the conversation, it made these 6 versions of the app. So then I said to it in a whole new session, how can I make an app that would show these 6 sessions with the little captions with the previous and next buttons? So this thing that you're seeing here is an app for displaying the evolution of the app, and the evolution viewer itself I created by just having a conversation with ChatGPT. Okay. Let's go back to it. And if you want to know the entire conversation here and all the gory details, what it said, if you click on this, it's a PDF of everything that's going on. So here's one way to think about what's going on is that there's been this idea for 40, 50 years that a good way to often develop programs is to have two people work together, and one of them is called the driver and one's the navigator. And if you go to Wikipedia, this is how they describe it. I think it's the navigator's role is maybe a bit more general than just, reviewing the lines. They're also giving suggestions. They're working together. But the point is that usually the driver's dealing with the technical details, the navigator the big ideas. And here you've got a similar situation where the user, whether it's a child or adult, is really giving the ideas, and the computer, the AI, is doing all the technical stuff. And the slogan that I like is that what you're doing is you're not creating apps built by AIs, but with AIs, so that it's a conversation, it's a back and forth, co-creation. So how did we get it to provide all that kind of support? Because if you just go up to a raw chatbot and have that conversation, it won't go as well because it doesn't have any idea of what the bigger context, the goals are, what you want it. So this professor at the University of Pennsylvania has a fantastic blog called oneusefulthing.org. And every week he's got something else very insightful all about AI. And he's a business professor. So it's not technical. Anyways, his suggestion, if you want to create a really high quality prompt, is to make sure it addresses these 5 things. Make it clear what the role that the chatbot should have, give it some instructions, make it clear what kind of pedagogy you want it to follow, give it constraints on how it should behave, and make it personalized. And then you never can get it right the first time, so you do it, you test it, and then iterate. So I approximately did that, and I'll show you soon. So this is the prompt that underlies the demo this is giving, and the little exercise you guys will do it. So maybe it's worth reading, even though there's a lot of words. So, and I put in bold in colors the parts that are kind of emphasizing, some of these different aspects. Like who is it the chatbot's talking to? What is the goal? What are the instructions for how to go about it? So there's 3 screenfuls like this. So the next one is more the technical things, like saying, try to produce the game as a HTML file that has embedded in it the JavaScript and the CSS. And by the way, when I was testing this, it just spontaneously, Curio, the one that's supposed to be the curious question, and started coming up with nice, very child-friendly metaphors for what each of these things are. The HTML is like the structure of it, the architecture, and then the CSS is the style, the painting it, or the colors and the patterns, and the JavaScript is the instructions for how it should work, it should do. And it's kind of helpful. Anyway, so there's kind of both technical instructions and also what kind of instructions to give the kid, because in general, these chatbots can't automate the copy and paste thing, but there are, for the very best ones, ways to do that. But in general, they can't. So this was a more generic one where I'll explain to the kid, okay, you're going to have to copy this to a file and run it and so on. And that they should be patient and they should ask questions, that kind of stuff. And then there was this idea that in this particular experiment, you wanted the student not just to be able to create an app, but to get some sense of what was the thinking behind it. Why in the world did the chatbot suggests this idea or that idea. So by asking it to simulate two people having a conversation, they're responding to what the user is requesting. And one of them is the technical one, and the other one is this curious one. You get some kind of understanding of what's going on, as opposed to. So that's the bot. The bot that I had was with these 3 paragraphs of instructions, and then to get it into a chatbot, you could just copy and paste those 3 paragraphs into any chatbot that's any good, and then from then on it'll work. So you can, and the advantage of that is that people have different preferences as to which chatbot, or somebody has an account for a better one from another. So this will work with, not just ChatGPT or Poe, but with Bard and Bing and Claude. There's many of these. But a few of these companies like OpenAI, GPT, and also Poe, they let you create a URL that is the chatbot already customized with your prompt. And the Poe bot is what we're using right now. So why don't we spend about 10 minutes doing this, and then we'll have a little discussion or feedback for how it all goes. But if you don't have a laptop, just find somebody to sit next to who does. And just go to this, just type in po.com/beta and theory, and then just say hi or hello. And then it's up to you as to what, whether you want to start right off saying, oh, I had this idea for this game, and see how it reacts, or more like what I was doing there was saying, I don't really know what I want to do. And it starts to ask you what your interests are, what things you like. You might even, if you're, the one thing that might be interesting to explore is if you're imagining that this is part of a history class or a biology class or something, to specifically have the students, come up with ideas that somehow have something to do with the subject matter of the class. So they're not just making a fun game, but they're making a game that has something to do with a school subject. That's if you find it interesting. So we'll start again in 10 minutes. And if you have questions or problems, and I'll leave now.
Ideas.
It's going well.
I press the right side.
So I think we'll have to do it.
Let's do it.
There is the chat box. Because your extension this is talk about maybe you want to change. Something that
Also, it's just what my checking have to go to the so I sometimes get
may not need to send that. All right, but you may know what I want.
Yeah.
So you like your friend, and you know that they will try to know.
You could keep going for a few more minutes, but if you do get something that's working, the idea here is to share it on this page here. So if we click here, we get to a page where there's a games, and then here in the code, you click share, and you want to share your chat. You'll see there's these check marks, and you have to kind of, I don't know how to do a share all.
It's require more steps. So this possible. Single to so first thing is like it's just like so you don't have any do this to combat different sales and all. Change. Yes. One higher means I know we don't use that. I mean, so use right. So just still relevant. Yes. Yes.
So, yeah. This was just a 10-minute, so a minute or two.
And so go to chapter number four.
What's this was the
So that's
instruction
the.
thing, and then once they had it on.
So this is copy.
Web page.
So I just started for this.
It's.
Yeah, yeah, you can start to try it, but the point is to
Yeah,
start
yeah,
lecturing it.
I will see.
Oh, wow. Ah, good choice. Oh, yeah, yeah. Sure. So once again, once you get to a point where you're kind of happy, we're going to start again in a minute or two. So try to follow these instructions to add a link to your
You have to.
conversation on this Google Doc.
So you have to have 9 days comment with the production. That is not a. And then this is the debug process. So if you keep trying, it's trying to see something.
Ali, I think we should start up again because there's a lot to cover. Okay, so again, if you had a conversation that you're happy to share. Yeah, yes.
So sometimes the program may not work, and that is the part of it. Okay, so we will be like Dr. Ken will be having some workshop sessions after the seminar, right? The goal of the seminar is to show you the potential. Okay, but you can see there are challenges. So remember, AI is not making that up. You are making that. You are in charge. So if your mind is not clear, the code that will come out will not work most likely because you haven't thought it through. So think about what you want, what type of game you want, what type of affordances you want, what should be the background, what should thing, and then make your instructions concise, as Dr. Ken mentioned.
Yeah, on the other hand, some of the problems are the chatbot's not smart enough, and it's
Yes.
you're being clear and it's not smart enough.
Yes.
And you know, there sometimes, you just tell it the problem and it'll get it right. Remember, I just did this and it didn't work, which is, you remember the conversation I had, it generated this program that wouldn't even load, which was the first time I ever saw that problem. So I said, after a while, the page asks if I should wait or stop, and it says, "Oh, sorry, it's taking much longer. Let's optimize the code so it's better." And it says use this bit of code, and I said, "Oh, it's got the same problem," and then it says, "Oh, here's something better." And then I had the same. So this is, but on the other hand, this is much rarer with ChatGPT 4. That the quality of the chatbots really matters for some of this.
Yes.
That with this is relying on GPT 3.5, and my experience is uneven. Sometimes it works beautifully, sometimes it works okay with a bit of prompt effort, and sometimes you get these problems. So let's see if what people have. Yeah, we've got a few here that we can look at. So let's maybe go in order. So this one is one that I did a few days ago testing. But let's see this one. Okay, let's see. Oh, I don't know what.
Let's try the other.
Yeah, let's see. Oh, this one, please. So, maybe the author wants to explain what happened here.
So who made this particular one?
Or wait, was this one's not mine. This one. How did mine get here? I'm confused.
So someone maybe used yours. Maybe let's try
Oh,
last
wait.
one.
Oh, I put it in myself. There it is. Sorry. Okay. Anyway.
This is mine.
Okay. Do you want to explain?
So,
And let me know when I should scroll or something.
yeah. Yeah, because I'm currently working with professor and is Professor Angel Lin, and then she loves chatting with ChatGPT all the time. And then yesterday she shared her discovery with us about interstream and it's about the pragmatics of usefulness as well, which is very philosophical and challenging to us. And then I try to meditate on this concept and ask the poll about how to make it more embodied and let people understand what do we mean by interstream. And then in the chat, I'm very happy about the example of using it for cookery class with useless cookery materials in Hong Kong, because although wasting food is a problem in Hong Kong as well. And then I elaborate the conversation, and it's very good. All the example about sensory aspect, philosophical aspect is covered. And then I think about how to add some artwork and music, because it's more complex, right? Then I keep giving prompts, questions.
Yeah, so one thing, sorry to interrupt. So
Yeah.
one thing I found, which was an annoying thing about
Yeah.
is that, why did this come back? I get rid of this. Oh, wait. When you click on the share.
Yeah.
It, you have to, sorry, you have to select each bit of the conversation to share the whole thing. So we're not seeing anything other than the beginning, because when you.
You mean I didn't take the.
Yeah, you didn't check mark to say share everything. So because the conversation ends here, even though you went out further.
Yeah, sure.
Did you end up getting a little bit of
It's
web
back and
page?
forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
I will double check the choice, but I'm making like chunks, and then it's ongoing. And every time I use question like how about, adding something what about,
Right.
then actually it's quite good. And I'm worried about the special terminology sometimes. That's why I use quotation mark. And then it's not the reply, the response is also in quotation mark sometimes. So I'm amused and amazed. Yeah, thank you.
Good, thank you. Good.
I'll try to post the whole thing, yeah.
Right, yeah, try.
Does anyone else made a game? Maybe you haven't posted it, but.
Oh, here's some new ones
Oh,
coming.
yeah. That's great.
So let's see this one.
Mental health. Okay.
For exporting. So again, this is this annoying thing about Poe, which is that it doesn't save the entire conversation unless you check mark every bit of it. So we're getting a piece of this conversation.
So maybe we can see, yeah, we do have.
Oh yeah, here's some
How about we try?
questions
So who made this particular program?
behind you.
Can you guys explain the rationale?
Yeah, we were trying to just a random topic, but we were also trying to see whether it can log the student players' responses and also export it into an Excel file as analytics for teachers. But it's we replaced the new code with the existing one, but still just showing up the game, but not everything else we wanted.
Yeah, it looks like it even knew. One of the things that's so impressive about these chatbots is that because they've been trained on billions of web pages, including ones with all different programming languages, but also different libraries, different APIs, is it knew how to load in this Excel SX library and how to use it in this case, so on. And gives you more information. So there's quite a lot to do. Let's look and see if there's maybe one more and then move on. So this is good to say. I want to make an English word game. Spelling of B1 words. So here comes the code.
So did this one work?
Work for the first code,
Okay.
but the problem is that it use like English words as a prompt, as a hint for the students to spell the words. But the students, I expect to spell the words, so I want to change the English prompt with the picture, but the picture doesn't work.
Right. But again, I think with ChatGPT 4 connecting up with DALL-E 3 that could do text to image, the better luck. Maybe I'll show some more impressive examples.
But also we have to understand, like Dr. Ken has been like working on this for quite a while. So for many of us, it's also like first time in doing it. So we can also imagine that students will be facing similar challenges. So this is part of the learning, like problem solving.
Yeah, it's really amazing.
If it works the first time, we'll waste the fun, right?
All right. So this I think what I'll show you here will give an impression of a maybe hopefully more typical one with a ChatGPT 4, which again is a more intelligent chatbot. So first I'll show you the app itself. So with the arrow keys, I can move this fairy, and when I touch the monster,
What can travel around the world while staying in a corner?
does anybody know the answer? You know it because we did this. Jeremy. Anyway, the answer is stand.
Correct. You found a treasure.
So then this treasure appears, and then the monster moves, and I can go to the monster again.
What can travel around the world while staying in a corner?
So it's got 3 or 4 puzzles, but it's picking them randomly, and unfortunately it picked the same one. But it can pick other ones, but there aren't very many. But again, like in the joke thing, you could ask it, oh, and more puzzles, and more riddles. But let me show you how this got created. That's the more interesting thing about this. So, slash. Okay, so to create that app, again, pretending to be like a 10-year-old child or something. So it's a total of 700 words. But what I'm showing you in bold are the ones that really had to do with the evolution of the game. But the rest of it is providing useful feedback to the chatbot so that it could fix problems. So it starts off, asking what do you want to do, and she says, I don't know what I want to do. And then it asks, well, what kind of games do you like? And she says, I like Zelda. And then, it asks, okay, so let's make this a simple game. And then you said, okay. And she says, okay. But then all she sees is a white screen and there's nothing else happening. And, she didn't know what to do, but it keeps giving some help. And finally, after 6 or 7 back and forths, she's got it working, but it's really the fairy is a blue square on a green background. It's not. So she says, but I want the player to look like a girl fairy. And then what it tries to do is use SVG, which is a way to make it with trying to make a fairy out of like circles and arcs and squares, and it looks terrible. And she says, no, what's better than a square, but it doesn't really look like a fairy. And then she wonders if, can you see how it looks? And the problem is it can't see. The very latest version, you should go take a screenshot and give it to it, and then it could say, oh, I see what I've done wrong or something. But it's can't see what it's doing. And so then she says, I want an image of a fairy, and it should have butterfly wings and a pretty pink dress, and that's what she's got. But there was still a bit of problem of getting it, integrated into the app where it wasn't quite doing the CSS perfectly. And she's saying, this is what I'm only seeing this. And like, so a bit of back and forth and it's working. And then she says, now I want a cute monster that, if you answer a riddle, will give you a treasure. And then she tries it out and nothing happens when the fairy touches the monster. And then it gives some, says, oh, whoops, here's some better code. And she says, it's working now, but, can we make the monster, look like an image rather than a circle or whatever it was. And then there was one of the puzzles was, I don't know, what is tall when young and short when old? But if you say a candle, it says, no, that's wrong. But if you say candle, it says that's right. So she says, oh, can we make it so that it's not so fussy? And it does, but then it forgets that later. And when she asks for more features, then it gets back to just single word answers, which is unfortunate. But if she cared enough, she could have pushed on this and it probably could have come up with a solution like, so long as there were candles anywhere in the response, then consider it correct. It doesn't have to be. Because you might say candles too, whatever. And then they were real tiny, so she wanted them bigger. And then there was only 2 riddles, so every time you play it, you have riddles, but still didn't come up with that many, as you can see. And then she says she gets the idea that when you get it right, the treasure should appear and in a different place, because it kept giving you a treasure, but a treasure on top of a treasure, which didn't really look like anything. Anyway, so it's just back and forth like this. And then, what happens if it's a hard puzzle, you get stuck. So she says, how about letting the player give up? And then says, yeah, great, and it even has the instructions that if you type give up, it'll tell you the answers. And then, it was, once we did it, she added the speech, it still had some of the text interfaces that didn't make as much sense. Can we get rid of it? And then she asked, well, how about having the player say the answer instead of typing it? And then it knows how to integrate onto the web page speech recognition. And after, again, 2 or 3 backs and forths, she got it working. But then it forgot to do the give up part and stuff. And that's pretty much it.
That's it. Dr. One question. So how long did it take you to?
Yeah, this
complete the
was
presentation?
Probably half a day.
Half a day.
Yeah.
So half a day, everyone. So it's not like you're gonna spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes and be done. So you have to spend time doing it. So
the first example I showed, which was the horse joke one with the pictures and the sound effects, that one I timed it and it was 60 minutes, but that was much simpler, less problems involved.
I have a follow-up question. Sure. Because it takes time, right, to nurture the quality of the chat.
Right.
Anyone invents software to imitate the turns taking and then adjust the timekeeping and then do it for, to use chat to teach the chat to chat or something like that.
So to some extent, you could, in this initial prompt that you give it, you can give it hints as to how to interact with the user, but also tell it to give hints to the user when certain things happen. So, part of the hints were, if the user asks for something too complicated, you come back and say, well, let's think of a simpler version of that we can do first, and then go on to do that. And one of the things that often works was some of these to get the prompt right, where it says, here's a program, try it out, and then let me know if it's working okay or what the problems are or what you think, so that it's helping the user know that it's asking for this feedback. We can't really know how well it's done without feedback. So to some extent, you get the prompt to encourage the interaction to go a better way. It's far from perfect, but it's, and as Ali keeps telling me about all this work on trying to engineer better and better prompts. Okay. So one of the things that inspired me 50 years ago, this was 1971, this paper called 20 Things to Do with a Computer. And, you know, it was all sorts of things about games and music, word games and generating simple poetry. It was quite a creative list of things, graphics and robotics. And very amazing given the time, you know, this was 6 years before the Apple II even came out, or, you know, it was like computers were big and huge. And I thought it was very interesting that just the abstract even thought of like the interactions being kind of like a conversation, but of course it was, you know, programming language kind of thing, not even natural. And this inspired a book 2 years ago, you know, 50 years anniversary of the paper. You know, here's here's views of more things to do or how to think about what's going on. So no, it's a good book. So I have in the last year made 18 just by, you know, no typing, start typing English to put to chatbot. And so I'm going to give a sentence or two description of each one, and I'll demo one or two of them now, and then you'll get a chance to sort of explore them in a minute. So the first one, actually, this one is sort of easier to just show you. So we're not going to make it do the translation. So if you click here, it picks a random language,
237.
a random pitch, a random rate, a random number. And if you do this may not work because of Zoom. Well, I'll tell you. This is a parrot that will listen to what you say and then repeat it in a funny voice and funny accent and pitch. But if you have a translation key, stick it here, and it would actually repeat what you say in the language in a funny voice. Yeah, but so that was you know, all by just talking to. And then this one, you see a video feed like of your face, and then you could use your finger to paint on your face, and then you could say red, blue, green to change the color of it draws. The next one was one where it's got 60 examples, sentences, some which show real competence and some show lack of competence and some have nothing to do with it. And it learns to use those, using those examples, it learns, builds a little tiny machine learning neural net, and then you can enter new sentences and it'll say how competent it thinks. And then I had one that makes a conversation between different people, like you could have Galileo and Aristotle talking to each other about whatever, and you could even chip in, say, water balloon game is one where the flowers are dying, but you could drop water balloons on them and they recover, and you have to move around and drop water balloons on them. Kind of a non-violent video game. Illustrated story generator, it does quite a lot. It not just generates the story and illustrations, but it lets the users say, oh, I think this paragraph should be rewritten, and then it says, well, here's some ideas for rewriting. Do you like any of them, or do you have an idea? Same thing with the pictures. And this was just this. And all you need to tell it about the story was, you know, I wanted a story about a snail and a friendly dinosaur. And it comes up with the story and the illustrations. And then they all have to. Oh, but the other thing is, I asked it, if somebody wants to understand how this was made, you know, give them the things to the app, but also add a button like this, and then you could actually see exactly what was sent to and what came back, and, you know, where the illustrations are, or description to illustrations, you know, and here's the code for the illustration. So you could actually see how it was made. Yeah. All right, I'll tell you the next one. Fireworks is just an app. Fireworks. Shannonizer is, Claude Shannon came up with an idea that's kind of underlying the core of large language models. And Shannonizer is sort of, he said, suppose you go to a library and you pick any random book, and you just open up the random page and you just go like this to the, and you start with one word, like the. So you find the random page, and then you search that page for the first occurrence of the, and then you write down whatever word that is, like cat. And now you pick up a random book and a random page, and you keep searching until you find the word cat. And then so that's is meant to give an intuition as to how language models work. So of course, there's so many more layers and there's so much more complexity and there's so many different, but the idea was, you're trying to explain this, can you make an app that does this a little bit? So it generates stories, just starting with a single word, but they slightly make sense because but it's a trivial, it's like the super stupidest chatbot you could make that works on the principles of the GPT. Yeah, my thesis had to do with creating animations of illustrate a story, so I tried seeing how well I could do there. This is an amp that tries to illustrate some ideas and improve. Here I wanted to just explore this idea that, you know, if you have all the weather data, can you learn from that weather data and from influenza outbreaks, incidence numbers? You know, does either maybe rainy weather, cold weather, hot weather have something to do with a week or two later how many people flew it? It was quite an interesting one. That one was just days of back and forth and different ideas, but eventually came up with something pretty good. Oh, and this next one I'd like to show is just this. So, so if you just ask it, you know, what is 2 plus 2? But if you said, how about 9 to the 1,000 hours? So 9 times 9 times 9, 1,000 times. So I said calculate, and it doesn't take it long. And there's the answer, and you know, with the scroll reference to see the answer. But then I asked it can you say what that is in English? It doesn't take it long. Instantly, here's the, and it, you know, it could have a speak this, you know, just and then one more fun thing about this calculator. You know, again, I didn't program this. I just had a long conversation. If I said something like 1 divided by 40, so I'll say divide. So if I say, well, let's use fractions. Well, fraction, that's exactly what I asked for. But if I say decimal, now, but this is smart. It actually, you know, notices that it's a repeating decimal eventually, and it shows the whole thing with a bar over it. You know, so
1 divided by 0.
We could try it. I think it's, well, who knows? Cannot divide by 0. Anyway, so that's a fun little calculator. Again, just from so on this page, if you wanted to understand how it was made, you click here, and there's a huge one PDF of the conversation. Or this, no, in this case, it's a doc about the conversation with some links to the conversation. Okay. Oh, this one I wanted to show because it's very proud of it. I don't know if anybody's played this connections game in the New York Times. I'll show it to you. So, Promise I've got to spend here. Okay, so the idea is that you have to find 4 words that kind of fit each other, like maybe crow, rooster, eagle, sparrow. They're all birds. So I say submit, and it's green, and it even says, yeah, you found a category of birds. But what's interesting here is that I decided that, first off, this is ChatGPT 4 creating an app that uses GPT-4. That's why I had to stick in here my API key or something. And I give it this instructions of what I want for it to generate. So it'll generate this 16 words, but then the app has to display it in the grid, have the kind of buttons, change it green, everybody. But this was the most amazing thing. And I would say, me. And then I say, initialize the game, and we'll get a game. You can say you want it in French or you want it to do with soccer. Here we go. So, okay, I think I might need help with this, but let's see. These are all things you could eat. Egg tart. Is this food too?
Yeah.
It is, and it says, yeah, Hong Kong food. Okay. Let's see. Oh, the Star Ferry, the tram, MTR, taxi. What does it say? Yeah, Hong Kong transport. Anyways, you get the idea. You could, but the amazing thing is that, again, ChatGPT could make an app that uses GPT-4 to make this game that's like very similar to what the New York Times has. It's here you can make any language, any theme, whatever. By the way, it sometimes will manage. What I'm asking it here is something really tricky, because to make the game really interesting, it should have try to come up with words that might fit into 2 different categories. And then you have to think, maybe I should do the other ones first, because there's 5 not 4, and I don't know which of the 4 are, so that you have to kind of, but it sometimes manages, I said example word. Anyway, and again, prompt engineering, probably if you could engineer this prompt. Okay, should go faster. Okay, so
can we have some time to explore these?
Yeah, we're going to do that right now. So the next one is, I said that I was interested in simulating kelp, sea urchins, and sea otters, and it makes a nice little thing. Next one, I said that I was interested in ant behavior, and it suggested a foraging game, and there's 2 different foraging where you have to avoid the enemy, or foraging where you're leaving a trail so the others can find the food. Balloon popping is fun because it's an AR game. So you see yourself and the balloons are falling, but you can poke the balloons with your finger and stuff. And then the riddling game we just saw in the horse joke. So what is next? What is let's split up for, well, at least 5 minutes. We'll see if we need more time. But so presumably most people have gotten the link to the slides. So yes. You could find these. And what I recommend is you click on the app to get a sense of what it does, and then kind of read about how it was made.
Anyone doesn't have the slides? Oh, Anyone else? Raise the slides. Oh, sorry, fix that out.
I think we can so she basically bring them up and do that.
That you can is yeah. Now, I only mentioned the word get this one. This is a bit of a process. Oh, okay. So, so there is a random point, and he writes candles, and then the game says not the right answer. So this means this means I can focus on the style of the candle. So it was only considering the singular form. So then we saw this problem in all the channel. It should be opposition. Okay, I know. Or candles. Then if there's a flow. So that part I'm going to show. So when you go to like adaptation, and then you link out from top, so you can may work. It's big curious and more involved. So this is a big problem.
So we are workshop. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So for that, I really have it was so if also
Yeah.
Yeah. So January. Yeah, these two.
So we're going to do that. Right. Text.
Yeah, you so that I wrote that they change to one extent.
Well, no, but it's,
Few more things just, okay, let me quickly.
so, interest of time, let's move on. First off, does anybody have any interesting comments about what the apps they saw or got a sense of how they were made?
Anyone explore any particular app and
Have any interest?
any interesting thought?
The balloon one was very fun.
The balloon one? It worked okay?
But I don't know how I should, like, we tried fingers or hands, but still it says there's too many every time.
Oh, yeah, so, yeah, so here's an interesting, one of the things about, the way I'm doing this, I try to fix, you have to try to have the conversation fix really major problems. But there's a problem with the balloon app, which is that it has to load in the model of the AI model that recognizes where your hand is and your fingers are and all this, and it has to load in some stuff. So while it's loading, it's still generating balloons. So you start off with too many balloons. I mean, you kind of try to, but once you lose and you restart the game, then it's just one balloon after another. But it does speed up. You get more balloons and they go faster over time, so it's a little bit harder.
So we can create a loading time.
No, well, actually, I could have asked it, yeah, to show loading and don't create balloons until everything's fully loaded, and then we would have fixed that problem. But there's an infinite number of things you can do to improve these apps, and in principle, with the best chatbots, you should be able to take so anybody else could take this and say, oh, now I want to try adding these things to it. But yeah, it's an interesting question when you're doing this as to how perfect you want to try to make this.
So perhaps in the workshop session that will follow, you guys can try some of these apps, try to fix it. If you can't, then try to add new features.
Right.
If you can't, we can add some, and then you can share. So I think each app would become like different variations of apps, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah, we could explain how you could. The simplest thing you could do is to get hold of the source code of the HTML file and paste it in and say, here's this program I want to improve. There's one idea I had the other day, which I might try next week, is going up to it and saying, okay, I've got number 5 here. I've got fireworks now, and I've got a riddling game. I want to make it so that when they get the answer right, you see fireworks come out. So asking it to take 2 apps and combine them, and I don't know how well, but that's the kind of thing I want to explore. Any other comments? Because maybe we're only got about 10 minutes, maybe we should move faster. So one question about doing things this way, as opposed to the old-fashioned way of asking kids to do Scratch or Logo or programming or, block-based or text-based. And in Seymour Papworth's famous book from 1980, just a motivation for children learning a programming language, and that it's not just empowering them to build cool things like this, but in addition, it's giving them a descriptive language, or way to think about thinking, or think about how problem solving in a new way, because they've got these computational ideas. So maybe those things are getting lost. And then what things might be gained. So first off, everybody, I think, could start to make apps in their own language. And again, Poe isn't as smart as ChatGPT-4, so today's experience may be not as impressive as with the best ones. And also, you know, Minerva is coming out next month, and so on. Well, that's from Google. The other thing is that the range of, that's what I tried to show with those 18 examples, is the range of things you can build. I can't imagine any of those being created by even a high school student using Scratch or Logo or something. They're way too complicated. They require too many, you know, extra features, libraries, APIs. If you don't understand the code or don't understand what's going on, you just ask at any point, you know, how does this work? What's going on here? You know, and all the time, you don't have to wait for an expert to be available. And any kind of support you need, not just explanations. So one of the challenges with kids learning programming is that when they get stuck, there often isn't anybody around to help them. But here, there's always, you know, you don't have to rely on it. And certain kinds of frustration are much less, but I think other frustrations more, so I don't know how they balance. And then some of the things lost might not quite be as lost. So it's easy to, to overlook the fact that what's going on is these formal languages that have all these interesting programming constructs in it. But I also did ones where I pretended to be a student that's just first learning to program and wants to know, oh, you know, how do I make it do this? You know, what code, here's some code I wrote. Is this okay? And it comes back, so that's great, but you know, you're missing this part, you know, you work on that. You know, it could be a great aid for those that really do want to get into that more technical side of things. The whole process of debugging is so different to me. I can imagine maybe in the future where it says, it does sometimes if you say, this isn't working, and it says, okay, let's add these console log statements, make the log, and then and you run it, you know, copy and paste what the log says to me so I could learn what's going on. And I should say that, by the way, that with ChatGPT-4 and probably the next version of Google's thing, with Python, if you're sticking with Python, it's able to run it in its own little sandbox and get the error messages and figure out what to do. But then you don't get an app that you can just share with people when you can't just run it yourself in the browser, you know, so there's some big advantages to this. And then I think, you know, some of the good things going on here is that the users are learning about how to develop things incrementally, how to kind of communicate, describe what they want. You know, don't have to be as precise as with programming languages, but they still have to kind of clear what they want. Hopefully you see that you could express your creativity, you think in terms of design issues, and you know, you still get something you could share publicly, and critical thinking section may be even more important here because the chatbot doesn't quite always do what you want, and you have to figure out what's wrong and how do I explain what's wrong to it so that it fixes things. And just general communication skills. One way to think about a vision of this too is that if students want to do a big project like a movie or a game that requires lots of different skills, then they could get together, but then they might be missing somebody that could do the artwork because it needs to deliver, and then the generative AI can fill in the missing roles. And maybe we'll leave this more for the workshop too, which would be come up with what if you wanted to do academic research here rather than just kind of proof of concept, exploring ideas. You know, what are the kinds of questions you want to do that might lead to an interesting paper? If you do come up with some ideas here, there's a link to a page where you can have your own. Another thing that I've been exploring a little bit, but I haven't been, which is what tips do you want to give children to most effectively use chatbots? You know, this is just 3 out of the 22. If you don't understand something in school, if it knows how old you are, what grade you're in, you know, it'll do help you be more helpful, whatever. There's lots of tips. And unfortunately, I've only done one after school session to really try this out with kids. I'm arranging an online one with a bunch of kids in India. Hopefully, maybe by the workshop, I'll have something to say about that. But if any of you want to try some things out, with some kids or informal, we can do a formal one, but I think it's much easier to imagine just something informal. And yeah, so at some point next month, we'll have a workshop where it'll be like much less lecturing and much more interactive and trying things, both trying to build apps and present them and discuss them with each other, but also maybe get into the question of designing the apps themselves, the prompts that give the personality to chatbot. And then there's going to be a separate talk, which we haven't scheduled yet, in another workshop, because I'm here until the end of it. And this is other uses for chatbots that isn't just creating apps. So you could make stories of literature about mathematical or scientific things. You could explore what kind of dialogues between historical figures and trying to make sure that they're historically accurate, generate debates on topics, the illustrated stories I mentioned. And then you could ask the chatbot to kind of produce a text-based adventure game that might even be grounded in something historical, so it's connected with history comes in schools. So that's and so I asked DALL-E 3, can you come up with an illustration for the question and answer period for this talk? And it kind of came, it mostly got the title of the talk right, and everybody's raising their hands because they all have questions. So hopefully you'll be inspired by this picture. Also, it's fun to look at what's wrong with this picture. I'll give you a couple of hints. Like there's something really wrong with these two.
Next step of human evolution.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, this woman is like sitting here, but the rest of her body's on the other side of the table. And he's got like an extra arm, I think. And then this arm doesn't match his skin color. But it's still pretty impressive that he can make an illustration like this from just a sentence or two saying. And I guess everybody's seen this, knows the slides. So. And if you want to really get deeper into this, there's my notes on all this, and there's a paper I wrote about it, another paper draft on this topic. So, in the few minutes that remain, there's some questions.
Any questions from the audience?
Okay, thank you, Professor. Really informative speech. So I have two questions according to my experience. So one of the question is previously we had a workshop and we tried to explore a little bit more about the POI and other ChatGPT or generative AIs. And we find out that actually during for example, when we want to design a lesson plan for the POI, and actually we found out that we need to spend a lot of time to communicate with the AI. I want this, I want that. Okay, this is not what I want. This is a process, and this process actually spends us a lot of time. So there's something good. It's good for us to improve the teachers' logical thinking, make their own minds much clearer. What I want in this lesson. But the problem is what we are concerned is actually the time we spend on this process is quite a lot, and with this time actually we can make a lesson plan by ourselves. We don't need the AI, right? So why we still use the AI? So what's the advantage of using AI to make a lesson plan rather than make it by ourselves with the same period of time? Right. So what's the role of this kind of generative AIs in teacher training?
Well, maybe I'll answer that for you
in
a second. So remember I mentioned this one useful thing.org by Ethan Mollick, this professor at the University of Pennsylvania. And he recently wrote a thing basically saying that most people aren't able to use chatbots very well unless they've had about at least 10 hours of just back and forth, kind of getting a sense of what they can do. But he also goes on to say that if at all possible, you should really use ChatGPT 4 because it's just so much capable, so much better understanding what creative is, and all of it, every way better than all the other alternatives. And even though it's not quite available in Hong Kong, there is got a VPN, or you can use Poe and you pay a little extra, or if you use Microsoft Bing, it relies on it. So there's ways to get it here. But so that's part of the answer. The other thing is that what I'm not quite sure that this technology is really quite ready for all the things that it's soon are going to be. That I think as a researcher, you want to use the best technology to kind of explore the near future rather than, so because there's a lot of ways to demonstrate the potential that you can get it to generate a good lesson plan if you kind of know how to ask your eye to use the right things. And certain things, you also learn its strengths, so that tends to be better at brainstorming than at factual details, or so that you kind of play to its strengths. But and it's so clear that the rate at which these things improve, it's only been a year. That a year from now, they'll be even better, and therefore, they'll be much more effective use of it. And one last thing about this is that, again, this Ethan Muller, he co-authored a paper and wrote a very nice blog about an experiment where they did a very large scale experiment. They had 750 consultants at a big consulting firm where a third of them didn't have any chatbot help.
Yeah.
A third had chatbot help, and a third had chatbot help with a few hours of instruction beforehand as to how to use it well. And generally they produce better stuff faster. It was the result. And that was a 1 week of experience, and so it was over a week.
What was your second question?
Because
we are running.
So second one is actually a very quick one because I'm collecting data with the primary schools, and then we try to use ChatGPT to allow the student to get more resources. But the problem is the teachers told us, okay, please do not, because the school is setting up some rules like forbid the student to use ChatGPT for everything. So my question is so for current situation for the education industry, and how can we make the balance between the use of ChatGPT and what we call plagiarism from the ChatGPT? Right.
Yeah, so this is a hugely debated thing with the amount of stuff I've seen arguing back and forth on
the co-creation.
So it's clear that students can use chatbots to do almost all their work for them. It's also, this is many people are saying this, but again, this Ethan Muller one, I think he wrote a nice thing about what he's doing with his students at the business school, which is that everybody actually has to use it, but they also have to, in every assignment, explain exactly how they were using it, what things it contributed, what things they did, because it's such a great, Microsoft calls it a co-pilot, you're kind of co-creating things. It's like some people give it the example of, you've got a very, very capable student intern helping you with things or something. I mean, and so it makes sense to have help. And that's the future too. Everybody's going, there's a slogan going around that, job X won't disappear for AI, but those that do job X without the help of AI are going to go away. Everybody's going to So it is coming, but of course, convincing, this school is that. And I think that some places like Khan Academy are trying to come up with ways to make a school-friendly interface to ChatGPT that gives the strengths of it, that, the ways to be a very good, helpful tutor and all that, without, at the same time, instructing it not to help students cheat by just giving them the answers or something, at least in the context of a mathematics class or something. So, but it's really hard to get right. And of course, the other side is that, even if children are forbidden to, they could do it on their phone or at home or other times, so that it's really hard. It's a losing battle. Now, the other thing, last thing said is that everybody makes the analogy to the history of calculators in schools. For a long time, they were forbidden. Different schools had different policies, and then some schools at some point required that everybody uses the scientific calculator as part of it. So maybe that's the right analogy.
Any other questions? We can do it perhaps after concluding this. So thank you so much, Dr. Ken, for this wonderful session.
Yeah.
And we will have some more workshop sessions building upon this. So I will encourage you all to go through these slides. I know there's a lot of material. It's a little bit daunting, but then give us some time, maybe half a day, like Dr. Ken, and then try to develop some apps. Yeah. And then maybe it has some research potential, and there's some research questions at the end. Maybe they align with your research if you want to come up with some new questions. So feel free to do that. And next workshop will be happening in January. So we'll let you guys know. Okay, so any other feedback, you can either let me know or let Ming know. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.